I think I got some. They just gave me an idea for a show, and they didn't even know it. So every now and then, I'll sprinkle in a tournament themed episode just to switch things up a little bit. And who better to have as my guest to participate in this tournament than NicJu, one half of the What's the Tea podcast, and Bridgette, 1/7, 1/8 of the All In with Ace podcast. Ladies, how are y'all doing this evening?
What's happening? Happy to be here. Thank you so much for asking. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, I'm excited, man. I've been looking at the bracket. When you first sent it out, I don't want to give away too much. I was like, I saw a name and I just started laughing.
Right.
So we're in the middle of summer right now. So I'll start with you, Nick. How's your summer been so far?
I was talking to somebody today. They asked me about how summer was, and it's really just like all the other seasons. It's just hot outside. I don't really get no time off of work. Like nothing changes for me during summertime. It's been cool. I have, been trying to sit down for a little minute because I've been in the streets and I'm just trying to chill for a couple, because I have some stuff coming up. Beyonce is coming soon. I'm sure that'll be the highlight of the summer. So I'm just trying to get my little rest and relaxation in.
Where's she performing in DC?
Yeah, she's gonna be at the Commanders Stadium.
Okay.
Whatever they're calling that team these days.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So Bridgette, how's your summer been so far?
It's been extra chill up until this point. All my shit is booked like right together. I have a family trip this weekend, next weekend, family coming in.
Wow.
The following weekend. So I forgot like how much adulting I have to do to prepare for that. So I'm gonna act like a real N-word and call in for work tomorrow and the day out.
I know that's right.
Because it's preparing for that, also doing just regular stuff that you normally have to do as an adult it's been a lot for the month of July. So my summer is just now getting revved up. But after that, I'm going to be chilling out till it's time to see Beyonce. And then that's it.
Oh, so where are you going to see Beyonce at?
Okay, so Beyonce likes to play this little game with me. Every time I like go see her concert, she likes to reschedule and shit. So originally, I'm still going to see her in Kansas City, but her show was booked in September. Now she has pushed it to October. So now it is the last current date that is on the tour unless she adds another date. So I'll be seeing her October 1st, which is fine because that's like right before my birthday. So
okay, cool.
It worked out just
nice.
Fine.
All right, now we're going to get into the main event. So the reason why I have these two ladies on is because we're doing a tournament and it's all about real world cast members. So I handpicked some of the standout cast members from the New York season up until maybe the first 13, 14 seasons. Because after Austin, I'd stop paying attention to it because it's a lot of seasons to catch up with. So what we did was we got 16 contestants, and one will emerge as the champion of the Real World Cast Members Tournament. So without further ado, we're going to get this thing started in the upper left-hand bracket. So we have Heather B from the OG New York season versus Anissa from the Chicago season. NicJu, I'll go with you. Who is your choice?
Let me just say first, for your listeners who might be unfamiliar with my qualifications, I do consider myself a real worldologist from seasons 1 through 10. After that, I do have a great deal of knowledge about a handful of random seasons. Like, obviously, I'm all up on all the Vegases. But just to let y'all know, I do this. I auditioned. That story will come up in the in the bracket thing. So First and foremost, the homecoming seasons were great. I'm bummed that Paramount Plus pulled them off the platform. They were done so well. But this is hands down Heather B for me. Like one of the coolest people to ever be on The Real World, in my opinion. Now, current times, Heather B, I don't know, but Heather B on The Real World, I was like, mind blown. I'm like, a Black girl, and like she was, I'm not from New York, but like I felt like seen, as the kids say, by Heather B.
Bridgette, what's your pick?
Okay. NicJu really broke it down. See, this was the bracket where I was like, oh, okay, Heather B. And then I said, wait a minute, let me go look up Anissa. And I was like, oh shit, Anissa from Chicago.
For sure.
She was mixed. And she did a whole lot of shit on like the Road Rules challenges and shit. And I was like, damn, she got a podcast. So I did a little bit of research and I was like, I kind of fuck with Anissa. But I'm going to stick with my original answer, and that is Heather B, because I fuck with Heather B, The Real World, New York. She was cool. She could rap and shit. She was like down with Julie, like helping her, trying to understand race shit. So I'm going to stick with Heather B, even though I love Anissa, but Heather B wins.
And you know what? Both of y'all just said perfectly and succinctly all the things that I was feeling. So yeah, Heather B for me too. One of my favorite moments was when she was walking, I think she was walking Julie's dog.
Bruh, that was Andre dog.
Bruh. Andre's dog.
That big ass dog drug her down.
She said, that dog dragged me.
Wasn't that a Great Dane? That was a big ass dog.
It was a big ass black dog.
Oh my God. The dog drug her. Lord have mercy.
Or was it Norman's dog? It was
Norman's dog.
It was one of the boys' dog.
It was Norman's dog. Shout out to Norman.
I mean, that dog took off and I mean, the street yanked her.
Drug ass down a Manhattan street.
All right, so Heather B moves on to the next round. The next matchup, we have Pedro from San Francisco versus Flora from the Miami season. I'll go first with this one. I'm gonna have to go with Pedro simply because, I mean, he was a groundbreaker in terms of The Real World, and as far as like gay people being on television. I mean, he admitted to be HIV positive, and you know, and especially during the early 90s, that's a hot topic. You know, especially right off the heels of Magic Johnson making his announcement. So, you know, and kudos to him for, you know, putting himself out there like that and just bringing awareness to it. So yeah, he's gonna get my vote over Flora. Flora, man, she was a jerk face on the Miami season.
Wait a minute, did she go off on who she like got into an argument with? I
think it was with Cynthia, if I'm not mistaken.
Was it Cynthia or was it the other Cuban girl?
Melissa.
Yeah.
I just remember her trying to climb her ass in the shower to see them people having sex and busted out the window.
I forgot all about that. He did do that. Yes.
Oh man.
And just for that, I'm picking Pedro. But I was gonna pick Pedro anyway. I was gonna pick Pedro anyway because just like Danny said, like he like there was a big issue back in shit is a big issue now, but just even back in the 90s. And to think how old he was so freaking young.
He was a baby.
Yeah. He was a baby. Yeah. And for him to come out and say he was HIV positive, then he get married on the show to his longtime
to
boyfriend.
Sean.
That was his name. I couldn't remember for the life of me.
Yeah. So yeah, Pedro stole everyone's heart. So yeah, Pedro.
Pedro for me too. Much respect to Flora. She was one of the original bitches on the Real World. Like she no disrespect to her. She was a formidable castmate, but like if there is a season that I would consider my favorite, it is probably San Francisco for many reasons. Obviously, I grew up in the Bay Area. I've seen it probably more times than I've seen any other season. I just watched it not too long ago. And Pedro and Sean, it was just like for so many reasons. It was so revolutionary. It was so out and loud and wonderful. And just like Pedro was so young and he knew he didn't have long left to live. And he gave the last parts of his life to educate people because at the time we were not exactly in the like, oh my God, AIDS, if you touch it, you're going to get AIDS. But we weren't far from that. And there were still a lot of people who were very ignorant as to how it was spread. And so just even him going to the school and the younger kids asking him the kind of questions they were able to ask him. And the friendship that he had with Rachel, which I would never understand what that lady became. She's like a Fox News correspondent. I mean, I get it, obviously. But yeah, he was just so young and so strong and wise, but then also just like a young guy. He was like falling in love and giggly and flirty. Like, yeah, it's crazy. Pedro.
And so Pedro moves on to the next round. Now to the bottom of the left side of the bracket, we have Tech from the Hawaii season versus Camila from the Boston season. Bridget, what say you?
Okay, I haven't watched the Hawaii season in a while in my, since I'm 40. So I feel like Tech would be seen as a fuck nigga now for me. And I used to love Tech, but I'm like looking back at it now, I'm just like, he would have got on my motherfucking nerves. And then I like Camila. Camila was cool on Boston. But I don't remember much about Camila. So I'm gonna stick with my original answer, even though I called Tech a fuck nigga. I'm gonna go with Tech here.
Let's see, I'll go next. So I think I might give Tech the slight edge. The thing I remember most about Camila was that she had the book. It was just like a long ass checklist of things that like qualities that she looked for in a man. And the book was like this thick. And I always remember that. And it was another thing with her that I also remember was who was the lesbian in that cast? Was it Genesis? And I think I can't remember. They might have been talking to some kids or something, and I think Genesis had made mention that she was a lesbian, and the kid didn't. I don't know if she approached talked to Genesis in a very talked down to her because she was a lesbian or something like that. But I remember Camila just like talking to the kid, like just trying to give her a different perspective of how she how Genesis how she lives. And I remember
her handling that situation very well.
Yeah, and I remember Genesis, just crying like, wow, like thank you for that. So I mean, it was honestly, it was tough for me to make the decision, but I'll give Tech the slight nod. But Camila did have some redeeming qualities about herself. I will give her that. NicJu, your turn.
Yeah, Camila. I fuck with Camila too. She's another one on the Black girls from the Real World who made me feel seen. Her, Cynthia, Heather B, light skin Nicole from Back to New York. I auditioned for Hawaii, actually. Stood in line in Berkeley with my homegirl all day. We stood in line with Amaya. She was hella cool in line, like a down ass chick. And then when we got to the table, she was just spilling her guts, like everything, sexual assault. So we just all kind of looked at each other like, well, that's it for us. So when I watched the Hawaii season, I definitely did the same thing. Bridgette, like, who would have got on my motherfucking nerves in this house? All that to say, though, I still roll with Tech kind of hard, and he's gonna pass through for me.
There you go. Tech makes it to the next round. Now,
so far, we're all unanimous. What was going to happen when we split?
I know we gonna split on somewhere. I got a feeling, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think once we get to the right side of the bracket, that's when the fun begins.
Yeah.
So the last battle in the left side of the bracket, we have Tammy from the LA season versus Cyrus from the Boston season. NicJu.
Ooh, Tammy Roman is the queen of reality television. If there is another person who is touching the hem of her garment, it is New York. I from the original Road Rules little thing they did on the LA Real World, I was like, Tammy. She's reality television dream. She was doing her little like Bonnet Chronicles, talking about the homecoming episodes or whatever. She's just so wonderful. Like the camera loves her. She's great at what she does. Cyrus was one of them dudes where I was like, I would kick it with him. He feels like one of my brother's friends. Like he feels like somebody I know. I feel like he's super laid back and he didn't get caught up really in no bullshit. And I recently saw him on one of those like challenge all-stars. I was like, oh, look at my dog, Cyrus.
He's still doing that?
There was a reunion one that came out right around the same time as they were doing those homecoming Real Worlds, and he was on it. I'm like, he feel like that's my dog, but I can't. Like Tammy Roman is the queen of reality TV, in my opinion, and this is where it all started.
Very salient points. Bridgette.
What I say, Tammy. Duh. Like NicJu said everything she needs to say. Like Tammy is the queen of reality TV. I loved her on the homecoming. Like she was the shit then and she's the shit now. So Tammy, hands down. No disrespect to Cyrus. Didn't Cyrus always date white women? No shade to whoever you like, but didn't he really like the sisters too much, did
he? He did give that off, but he didn't give it off in the way of like, I feel like he would ever diss a black woman because of it. I just think he probably exposure. He seemed like he don't be on that like, oh, the black girls don't like me. I think he just don't be around black women like
black
that.
Girls like that.
Which is a choice, a strong choice in 2023, depending on where you live.
Right.
But he never gave off that he was ever going to like have something bad to say to a black woman, which I'm cool with. As long as you don't have nothing bad to say about us, date who you want.
There you go. I concur. And Tammy moves on to the next round. So now we move to the right side of the bracket. Off rip, upper corner. We have Steven from the Seattle season versus Mike from the Back to New York season. The Miz.
Nobody beats The Miz.
I'll go with this. I'll answer this one. So I think when NicJu, when you were on the episode of At the Plate, I remember I was telling you about how me and my grandmother would sit and watch the Real World Back to New York season, and she would never say Real World's coming on. She's like, it's 10 o'clock. Coral and Michael about to come on.
Yes.
Yes. So his Q rating was high in my mama's household. Steven, he was a cold piece of work.
The character.
Yes. Yeah, especially the infamous teddy bear scene. Yeah. That was, buddy. I think I'm gonna have to go with Steven just off the strength of that. I mean, him and Irene were like oil and water.
He was an iconic figure.
Yeah, and just took a teddy bear and just flung it right in the water.
The fact that I can still laugh at this scene tells you, first of all, I'm not shit. And And second of all, that was classic reality television. See, this is
Man.
where I thought the divide was going to take place. Okay. Okay. The Miz is an iconic figure of real world TV. I don't want to take that from him. He actually went on to like actually wrestle in real life. But Steven smacked the shit out of Irene. And it wasn't for like it wasn't because of a bad reason. Like Irene really did out him. Like that was some sucker shit.
Yeah.
So I don't condone violence.
Come on.
But Irene was with that bullshit. So I'm gonna have to stick with Steven on this one, even though, I don't condone violence, but I understand. So it's also a Steven for me.
And Irene really thought she was in the clear. That car was about to take off, and he hit that door.
He hit that door. Hey. Hold up.
You forgot something. You forgot this damn smack.
What was the order of events? She said you're gay, and then he went back in the house and got her little thing.
Yes, I think that's how it happened. He was like, and he threw it out in the bay. And then the cab or whatever was driving off, and he knocked on the window and he smacked the shit out of her and closed it.
I think, like, I agree everything Bridget said. I don't condone violence, period. Outing someone though, it's not good. It's not cool. It's not acceptable. Even if she knew and they all knew, and obviously she turned out to be right, that brother wasn't ready to come out in that venue yet. Yeah. And like, what makes somebody who is wrestling with their sexuality go on a television show? I do not know. But I do know that that was his announcement to make. Over the years, I have re-adjudicated the velocity behind the slaps, and I don't think that he slapped her that hard. They put some stank on it and Foley, but he popped her. He popped her real good. Like, and he definitely should not have touched her. But she shouldn't have outed him either.
And Bridget, I completely forgot that after the slap, he shut the door back.
Sure did.
Shut the door.
Sure did.
Now be on your way.
Yeah, like even in this moment, he still showed just a shred of courtesy.
Right. Like, I'm not gonna make your embarrassed ass also have to reach back and close this door.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and close the door.
I remember not caring for Mike. I feel like him and Coral used to get into it, and it felt racial.
Yeah,
Racial.
Yeah.
I'm very happy for him that he achieved his goals. That's cool because he basically called his shot on television, and he did that shit.
Yeah.
But my vote is for Steven, the icon.
Unanimous.
Steven makes it to the next round. The next matchup, we have Karamo from Philly.
Woo, buddy.
versus Ruthie from Hawaii. Holy cow.
Oh, whoa. Oh,
even making the bracket, I don't know what in the world I got myself into with this matchup, but styles make fights. I'll go first. I might have to give the edge to Ruthie. Just, you know what? I give the edge to Ruthie just personally, just from dealing with alcoholism. I can relate to what she was going through with that. And she was super cool. I mean, she would be in the club. I remember she was in the nightclub and she just got on the mic and started freestyle. I was like, wow, look at that. She got some extra tools in her toolbox. But I think the alcoholism really hit home for me. So just from a personal standpoint, I'd have to give Ruthie the advantage over Karamo. NicJu.
It's a tough one for me. Karamo, I just recently watched that Philly season, and Karamo like came out basically on that season. But the Karamo today, He's a lot. He's a lot. Like he was on that new Queer Eye. And I think he's one of those Black people who doesn't use the N word, which is fine. But when you start to like proselytize to other Black people on whether or not they should use it, I start to wonder, like, what are we doing here exactly? And I didn't really care for him on The Real World, but he had points. He made several salient points throughout the entire season. Ruthie, she really wasn't on her season that much because that was like night 2 that she got super drunk and then had to go to like rehab or whatever. And then she came back later in the season. So this one was tough for me, but I'm going to say they're both very culturally significant, one more so now than then. But Ruthie, slight edge to Ruthie.
All right. Bridgette, what say you?
Woo. Okay, so even though Ruthie is gonna take this one, I did appreciate like Ruthie became like the shit on those challenges. Like nobody could fuck with Ruthie. Like she was she was such a badass on those goddamn challenges. But yeah, I just remember in the Hawaii season, like she got super drunk and she was trying to drive. That's when like Tech was like losing his goddamn mind. He was like, she's driving. He was like so worried about her. But for her to overcome the alcoholism is like a big deal. Shout out to her. Karamo, see, this is why I asked this question that I asked when we first started. Like, are we basing it on who they were then, basic, versus who they are now? Karamo, he came out on his season.
Yeah, he started dating dudes on his season, and he said his family and people didn't know that he liked men.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, Karamo is a lot now. So I guess we like unanimous around the board, so I'm just gonna keep it Ruthie.
What's the trip about that? Obviously, I was obsessed with that Hawaii season. The producers, their policy is not to intervene in the subjects' lives. They're just supposed to tape. But she was like getting in the car hammered. And that was one of the first times you will ever see a producer come from behind the camera, is that episode, because they were like, we have a responsibility to these people. So they were like tailing her in the car, and it was kind of like a Princess Diana situation where they didn't want to harm her more, but they did want to follow her, not only to capture the moment, but to make sure that she was going to be safe. But it really changed the way that they filmed the show too, like, because they definitely had a hands-off policy, and they were like, well, we don't want her to die on camera, actually.
Right. Ruthie goes on to the next round. Next matchup, we have CT from the Paris season versus Melissa from the New Orleans season. Bridgette, what's your pick?
Melissa. Because Melissa is my top real world person of all time.
Really?
I fuck with
100% same. Do y'all listen to her podcast?
Oh, she got a fucking podcast.
I didn't know she had a podcast.
Yeah, so it was kind of on the low. Her and this woman that would like comment on her blog became friends over the internet, and it's called Imperfect Strangers. They typically drop every Friday. They're not on Spotify, but they're everywhere else, and it's so good. And you could go back and listen to the older episodes because they started to do it less frequently. And Melissa talks about the process of filming the reunion and all that. And it's just like listening to Melissa talk on the phone with her friend. Like she went to New York City because she lives on Long Island. She went to New York City one night to kick it with Irulan and like tells the story about that night. So yeah, no, it's really good. And Perfect Strangers. But agree with Bridgette. She's my favorite real world person of all time.
Hands down. I love her.
There you go.
I love her then, and I loved her now. I love her now. She's the shit.
I remember when they were doing the public access show, and I guess she got an issue, and she was like, "Turn the fuck out!" and slammed her seat.
relitigating that again, I've just recently watched this season as well. I think she had feelings for David, and the fact that David was not showing her any type of affection in that moment, because there have been some flirtation between a lot of people. I think David and Julie kind of flirted a little bit, and I think she was going through having some feelings about that, because she doesn't really mess with Black men like that. Like, her husband is white, like she's and I think that she was having her own identity issues at the time, and like, yeah, I think that there was a lot more behind that blow up than just David being rude at the record. Because rewatching that season, I fuck with David even harder, and I feel like that whole house was kind of some dicks to him, because he was going through some shit that I don't think anybody actually understood. And yes, he was rude one time, but they treated the nigga like he came in the house with a gun and tried to kill everybody, and he was just like, "I'm gonna clean this part when I fucking get to it."
Yeah, and
he was a dick. He was a dick, but like, not the way that they was putting on it.
And I remember when they had that whole meeting with him, and they were like, "We're here to talk about why you're such an asshole." And I remember he started crying, and then he started revealing all this stuff and why he was feeling the way he was feeling.
His mom,
like, oh.
yeah.
I vividly remember that part. And so, yeah, I'm gonna go with Melissa too. I think the only thing memorable to me about CT was it during the challenge when he yelled out, "I will work you, dog."
Yeah, that was a challenge.
I'm trying. Who did he say that to?
I cannot remember.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
It wasn't one of his castmates that was also on his season. The little black dude with the curly hair. What was his name?
Adam.
Yeah.
I don't really remember Paris.
Yeah,
I remember dude getting his tongue bit off. I remember that.
That was London.
That was the London season. That was
Neil.
That was Neil.
And I don't think Paris is on Paramount Plus, so I didn't revisit Paris when I was doing my little marathon.
Okay. I don't think I watched Paris either. I remember CT from the challenges though.
I know CT from his season. I don't remember it. I'm sure the moment I looked at the cast, I'd be like, "Oh my God, I remember them." Matter of fact.
So Melissa goes on to the next round.
Yep.
And the last matchup in the right side of the bracket, we have Coral from Back to New York versus David, the aforementioned David from the New Orleans season.
What's his name now? Tokyo.
I'm not Tokyo. I'm not a fan of Coral. This one's pretty easy for me. This is David, especially since I rewatched his New Orleans season and also what he did on the Homecoming season. I mean, minus the fact that I'm kind of in love with the nigga. Come on, be my baby tonight. Let's see. Come on, man. Sweet
Yow. Okay, that was the David Chappelle version.
Oh, man. I seen the way you treated other thugs you've been with. Come on, be my
baby tonight. Come
on.
Man.
Classic. Yeah, David gets my vote too, just off the strength of that.
Damn, right. No love for Coral, huh?
None.
Was that your pick, Bridgette?
No, it was David.
I will say that I don't know Coral. I don't watch the challenges. People love her. She's a fan favorite, but just off of that season, I'm going David.
All right, now we move on to the next round. So we go back to the left side of the bracket. We have Heather B from the New York season versus Pedro.
Oh, hell no.
Buddy.
We done painted ourselves into a corner.
Buddy, pal. I guess I'll go first. Lord have mercy. I really don't want to go first. Because these are some...
Yeah, this is tough.
Goodness gracious.
It's tough.
Yeah. I mean, this is a coin.
This is where you have to start to examine your qualifications. Are we going for best cast member of all time, favorite cast member of all time, most iconic cast member of all time? Like, this is where you have to examine your reasoning.
Yeah. Oh God. Because Heather B is, I mean, she's an iconic cast member.
Heather B.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
She's Heather B.
Heather B.
And then
let me give you some Heather B highlights, friends.
Okay.
So we talked about getting drugged by the dog. Let us not remember when she went to meet Larry Johnson. And they went to the garden and she stayed behind so she could meet Larry Johnson. And
I forgot about that.
Absolutely did meet Larry Johnson. Don't forget, we got to see her recording her songs for like BDP on the show.
Yep.
On the homecoming show, she said that she hated the fact that they didn't show more of her relationship with her father because her and her dad were super close, and her dad was like the homie, and he really only made it to like a tiny little portion of the show. And then also just Eric and Heather's friendship. They were like frick and frack. They were so fucking hilarious. And he would be like on her all the time. She'd be like, Eric, get off me. Get off me. Like, why you kissing on me? He loved her. And then also, as Bridget pointed out, how like welcoming she was to Julie. Now, her and Kevin had some funk their season because Kevin was like super loud and in everybody's face. And in that homecoming season, she did give him his full circle props moment. Like, you were on some real shit that I just wasn't trying to hear because I was like 21 trying to have fun on the TV show, but like you were really saying some shit that's still relevant today.
Word.
Whoa. They don't make it easier than me.
Yeah, because then in the other corner you have Pedro.
But
I can go.
Is it cheating to walk away from a real world bracket and have Pedro be the winner? Like, is that what we came to do? Because nobody can beat Pedro. He died.
That's true.
See, there you go. That's God.
I'm still gonna pick Pedro though.
I
love you, Heather B.
I know. I'm going Heather B.
Yeah.
I'm going Heather B.
Oh, now that is the
tiebreaker. I'm going Heather B.
I love
Pedro.
I'm going Heather B too.
Let's not move on without me saying how much I love Pedro. I think he's iconic, but I think it's too easy to walk away from this bracket and have Pedro be the winner because no one else is going to beat Pedro. Because we're all like, he died. He did die.
Yeah.
He did die.
But did he get drugged down 3 city blocks by a dog?
He did not. He did
have an iconic peanut butter moment.
Oh, he did. He was sick of Puck shit, which I understand.
Yeah. Who is it?
Yeah.
He's so useless.
It was disgusting.
Yeah. All right. So next matchup, we have Tech versus Tammy.
This easy for me.
Same. Super same. I'm gonna go with whatever Bridget's saying because I think we got the same mind right now.
All right. Well, you know what? I'll switch it up. NicJu, I'll go with you first.
Tammy. It's Tammy.
Bridget?
Pretty much. I mean, Tammy. I already said why I almost didn't want to pick Tech in the first place. So, I'm going with my girl Tammy.
Fair enough. And I mean, not like my opinion matters at this point, but I went with Tammy too. So now we move to the right side of the bracket.
Was right there on the floor laughing. She said, what did she say? It wasn't not funny.
It wasn't not funny.
Yeah, David was like, you was right there on the floor laughing. Homegirl said it wasn't not funny.
Meaning it doubly was not funny. That shit wasn't funny, nigga.
That shit wasn't funny.
Man, double negatives like a sumbitch.
It was so wrong, it was right again.
Man, what?
Yeah, like
she was mad.
The faux pas corrected itself.
Right.
And then on the homecoming season, when they was talking about the N-word, she said, that meme with her with the cigarette out her mouth. She told Eileen, she said, you can't say it either. You Latino. She gave us 2 iconic moments 20, 30 years later. You Latino.
He had turned around with this cigarette. I said, Tammy,
And that
girl.
body.
He was like, you can't say
Tammy.
that shit either.
I'm sweating.
Oh man. So now we move to the right side of the bracket. We have Steven versus Ruthie.
This feels homophobic. We gotta choose.
Oh wow.
Let's see. Bridget. What's your
Damn. I knew I was gonna be the one to go first. This is gonna be controversial. Maybe not. I'm still going with Steven. I'm still going with Steven because Steven my nigga. That's it. Period.
All right.
Period.
I'll go next. Alcoholism aside, I'm going with Steve.
Sorry. It's just like a funny framing.
I'm going with Steven too.
Controversially, so am I.
Man, every single one of these matchups have been washes.
Hey.
But I mean, that's the way the cards fall sometimes. Then last matchup. Oh wow.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
Ooh.
We got New Orleans on New Orleans crime. We got Melissa versus David.
That's easy for me. I'm sorry. Okay, y'all go ahead.
This is kind of like picking Viola Davis or Angela Bassett for me. I'm gonna go with Melissa. Who I love David, but Melissa. It's my girl. Her little paintings. Remember them little paintings she did with
Remember the little
Lionel?
painting.
Yeah, she did.
And her parents, Shorty and Mercy.
And they were hilarious on the Witch Call show too.
Mm-hmm.
I could not figure out her parents' names for the life of me. Shorty and Mercy.
Mm-hmm. And now she's like a mom. She has like daughters, and her husband is Jewish, and her daughter just got bat mitzvahed because obviously she never did it, and she's a convert, and her daughter's of age, so the two of them just got bat mitzvahed.
Wow, I didn't know that.
That's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
She got 3 girls, right?
Mm-hmm. I think 3.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we are now down to the final 4. Left side of this bracket, semifinals. Heather B.
Oh God.
Versus
Tammy.
God.
Okay, so this is like round 2 of Heather B versus Tammy, because at the 10-year reunion, they
remember
got into it. Because Tammy was like, they made me see like a bitch. They only used the footage where I was being a bitch. And Heather, an iconic line that I use to this day, they used what you gave them. Because Tammy was trying to blame it on the edit, and Heather was like, if you was acting like a bitch, they recorded you acting like a bitch, girl.
Well, points were made.
And I also remember when Heather B was talking about the LA cast, and she was like, man, y'all just seem phony to me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I was like, wow, okay, let it be known then.
She thought they was trying to get a bag, and theirs was more of like a social experiment. They didn't get paid that much money. They didn't know. They thought it was going to air on like public access. So they were truly just being themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Sound like some hateration and holleration.
In the dancery.
Oh, girl, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to go out on a limb here. And I'm still say Tammy.
Okay. I'm going with Heather B.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Controversy.
There's just really a compelling reason to choose either one of them. But I gotta say right here, I'm a slave to your loving. I can't resist the fever of your kissing and your hugging. Whip it on me. Put me up in chains, because it ain't no that.
The fact that you still know this shit is hilarious.
Which is why
The
my
fact that I
choice is-
knew where you got this shit from is also hilarious.
Which is why my choice is Tammy.
Yes.
I'm a
God
slave.
damn.
I'm a slave. I'm a slave till you love it.
I forgot all about that.
I
Whip it
did.
on me.
Tell
That
me
shit
why,
is so
why-
inappropriate. You would get canceled in a
Yeah.
hot second for some shit like whip it on me, put me up in chains.
No, Tammy, no.
Ma'am. No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am. Mm-mm. I see why they didn't make it. But you know, you made it anyway, baby. You a star.
Right.
So tell me.
You didn't need reality.
Mm-mm.
All right, Tammy moves on to the finals and the next matchup in the semifinals to determine who faces Tammy in the championship. We have Steven versus Melissa.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah.
See how we did? We painted ourselves into a corner.
Damn.
I'm gonna go first this time because I don't
All
want
right.
to be the deciding vote, and I'm gonna say Steven.
Oh shit.
I'm going with Steven. I'm going with Steven.
Woo,
I'm going with
woo.
Steven because that was the slap heard around the world. That shit made the news.
It
Oh
did.
shit, did it?
It
The
did.
news.
Damn.
I think that shit was like on People Magazine and Us Weekly. That shit was everywhere.
I'm gonna have to go find that on microfiche.
Oh my God. We are so old.
What's microfiche?
Wait, you don't know what that is? No.
No.
Oh no.
Okay, so like when you used to do, it's where the old magazines were stored on this
In the
little reel
library.
Okay.
at the library. So you had to like, if you wanted to find a particular subject, like they will tell you in a particular part of where it would be, and then you had to use this whole little film, set it up, and then you had to hit this button so it could go to the side so you can find a particular article that you were looking for.
Yeah, you would
Okay.
like drop it in this machine, and
Right.
it was like it was like film basically, and you would just flip through the images until you found what you were looking for.
God bless. Well, thank God for the internet, boy.
Right?
I remember doing that shit in my freshman year of college. That was
Man,
all that process.
oh,
Mhm.
Dewey Decimal ass shit.
Right. It was.
I'm gonna have to go with Steven too.
Damn. There y'all.
I know. I love Melissa though. She's my one and only, but for the purposes of the bracket, the slap her around the world did it for me.
And you know what? The thing that really drove it home for me was the fact that I completely forgot, like what Bridgette said after the slap.
He shut the door. He
He
shut the door.
he had enough courtesy to close the door back and send her on her way.
I don't know if it was courteous. I think he was trying to slam her ass in that door. Wait, I bet you we could find the slap on the internet right the fuck now.
Oh, man. My head is hurting because I'm laughing so hard. Well, fuck y'all then. I was picking Melissa, but it don't matter. Damn. But I'll stick with Steven with the slap heard around the world and him closing the door afterwards.
Man, so we have made it to the championship, the final round.
Wait, can I share my screen?
Yeah, go ahead.
You finna share this slap.
Hold the fuck on. How you do share screen? Host disabled participant screen share. That's okay. I'll put the link in the chat.
That is hilarious. You find it on YouTube.
Yes. And the quality of the video makes me feel like I'm turning 103 next week.
Oh
Goodness.
up. I got it. Man.
Let me cut the sound because
I'm gonna show this to my son and he be like, Mama, you used to watch this?
What the hell
Absolutely.
was you watching? Okay, who's
Absolutely.
we can run this in the background. Who's what's our next matchup?
The next matchup is the final matchup. It is Tammy on the left side of the bracket versus Steven
Shit.
on the right side of the bracket.
Could you imagine these two getting into it in real life?
Oh man.
That shit would be epic. I think you up first, BG.
Man, this is difficult. This would have really been difficult if Melissa would have made it out the last round. Now that I looked at it, I'm still gonna go with my girl Tammy. She's like reality TV royalty, so we gonna stick with Tammy.
All right, I'll go next. You know what? The wound is still fresh. I'm going with Steven.
Not the wound is still fresh. I'm gonna have to watch this video of Irene because I know this lady is on here like this has traumatized me for 30 years. You know, she milking it real good. Like every time it comes up, I bet you she's like using all her therapy language about the trauma she endured from that, which is her right. Let me just say that because if somebody slapped me on television, I would still be feeling away to this day. But I am going with the queen of reality television, Tammy Roman.
Bonnie Chronicles herself.
Wow. And Tammy, when the smoke clears, is the champion of the 2023 Since We Last Spoke Real World Cast Members Invitational. Tammy, wherever you are, I know you can't hear us, you can't see us, but take a bow.
Congratulations.
You ran the gauntlet and you remained and you emerged unscathed. So hats off to you, Tammy.
Title couldn't have gone to a more deserving person.
Word. Man, I wish she was here to give a speech. Just so I can hear, just so she can say that wasn't not funny. Just for old time's sake.
Not funny. Okay, he popped her real good, and he did kind of just close the door, like, "Okay, bye."
I told you. I vividly remember him closing that door.
Oh, and she got it. She got it super good because she turned her head to like see what he wanted. So he popped her like she was unaware. She couldn't even brace for it. He got kicked off though, right? They didn't let him stay, did they?
Yeah, they kicked him off.
Because they were like, "Oh my God, the violence. The violence. I'm afraid for my life." Nobody wants to talk about the violence of outing a Black man on television.
Yeah,
that was some fuck shit.
Yeah, she legit said, "You know, me and you would never work out as a couple because you're homosexual." I was like, "What?"
And laughed.
Right.
Oh,
yeah. And laughed.
I was like, "Wait a minute. What's going on here?"
And I think he was trying to give her an out. He's like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "You know what I mean, Steven." And I wondered, did they have like private conversations because they were friends?
That's
where he kind of was tiptoeing out of the closet. So which is even a further betrayal. Don't get me wrong, not condoning violence, especially not in this form, but like everybody's not always in their best frame of mind. What was he, like 22 at the time? We would be not having this conversation and kikiing and joking and laughing if he like pulled her out the car and beat the shit out of her.
Yeah.
Right.
Popped her on the mouth, which was too far, but still, I don't know that I would have responded in a more elegant way myself.
Right. That's a moment that he can never get back. So 30 years, and then she was wrong for that. So, and she got the shit slapped. Well, she got slapped. I don't want to say she got the shit slapped.
He popped her real good. Like you know, yeah, he popped her. He shouldn't have threw her thing in the water either. They was all being fucking petty.
No, he shouldn't. But that shit was funny.
He was wrong for that shit too.
Did they ever get that teddy bear out of the water? I can't remember.
They fished it out. Yeah, they fished it out.
Bear just soaking. That bear was soaking wet too.
The fact that they fished it out is even funnier. How the fuck did they get it?
They had like one of them pool nets things, and they eventually got it. Mm-hmm.
What the
Had
fuck
to-
they was gonna do? They wasn't theirs. They was gonna mail
You-
it to
Right. And I don't really remember much else about that season. That girl Genesis, I think one of her friends like died by suicide during the season.
Oh yeah.
Or was that Boston? No,
That
Boston.
was Boston.
Yeah, I don't really remember much else about Seattle, and it's not on streaming. So on Paramount Plus, they have a good number of the first few seasons, but it's an interesting rewatch because I've watched some of them so many times that I know the songs that are supposed to be playing, but because they lost that contract deal or whatever, it's different music now. So they'll play a song that is
wow.
like suggestive of Always in My Heart by Tevin Campbell, but it's not the song that was actually playing during the broadcast.
Ah, okay. Because that's why they didn't want to put them on MTV because they
Right.
didn't have the rights.
But they
to the
got them on
song.
Paramount Plus, which carries like a lot of the old MTV shows. I'm probably gonna do a Hills rewatch here soon because I just need a little low stakes mess in my life.
I feel
Man,
you on that.
I need to get involved with Paramount Plus though, because I was completely out of the loop with that.
Yeah, there's some seasons on Hulu as well. They aren't the best video quality on Hulu. But it's not anything like major on there. Like 1, 2, and 3 are, at least they were, on Paramount Plus.
Okay, cool. So, NicJu, Bridgette, if there's anything y'all want to plug or promote, the floor is yours.
I mean, we only do our podcast like once a month. We're trying to be realistic about the amount of scheduling that we have in our lives. I just very much appreciate the invitation. This was super fun, and I'm down to do it again with a whole different group of real world people. I could do this about 4 more times, to be honest.
I like that. I like that idea. I will definitely have y'all back on. Bridgette, anything you want to plug or promote?
I'm like NicJu. We're on a bit of a hiatus, as you can see. Like we were supposed to record yesterday, but a bitch got too much shit going on. So we'll be back sometime in August. But the name of our podcast is all see, I can't even think of the names again. Podcast. All in with Ace. So it's on all the streaming platforms except Apple. Don't ask me no questions. I don't know how to do this shit yet. So my age just showed up. So yeah, follow us. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Word. And make sure y'all like, download, and subscribe to All In with Ace. Make sure y'all like, download, and subscribe to What's the Tea podcast. Make sure you like, download, and subscribe to Since We Last Spoke with Danny Foxworth. And for Bridgette, Nick, and myself, this has been another episode of Since We Last Spoke. Until next time, y'all be good. Peace.
Peace out.